Welcome everybody to season 4, episode 15 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 podcast. We got another great show lined up for you today. Looking forward to this episode. Today we're going to talk about the modern man, leadership, business, and personal strength. I've been talking to a lot of people and they're saying that men are no longer men anymore. And that's something that I was like, that's something that we got to discuss. And if there was anybody that we got to bring for this conversation, it would have to be our brother Hassan Chami in the building, a.k.a. Halal Tate. You know what I'm saying? All jokes aside, we got Big Haas in the building here. Looking forward to this conversation. I know this is something that, he represents on his social media platforms and even the way that he carries himself. So I feel like this is a great conversation to have him here today to talk about. So we're looking forward to that conversation. But before we do that, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. You have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under Oz Media. You can find all those platforms on our website at ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of this show: Hanley International Academy, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Juice Box, Melike Kebab, Royal Kebab, and of course, Jebel Coffee House. We appreciate them and their support. Yusuf, let's start off with Juice Box, and then we're going to officially get the show on the road. So shout out to Juice Box and everybody over there at Juice Box. We appreciate them. If you're looking for a place with the best smoothies, milkshakes, ice cream, cereal bars, and slushies, then Juice Box is your one-stop shop. You can try things like their Biscoff or Nutella shakes, crepes, watermelon blast, strawberry burst, or mango smoothies. Juice Box currently has 4 locations: Hamtramck, Dearborn, Detroit, and Trenton. So be sure to stop by Juice Box and get ready to leave there with a big smile on your face. You can also visit their website at juiceboxblend.com or download their app at juiceboxblend.appfront.app. All right, we're officially back. Like I said, man, it's time for us to discuss why men need to become more manly, especially lately what's going on. But before we do that, Haas, how are you? How have you been? What's new? What's going on in your life? Anything you'd like to share with us, man?
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've been watching your work for a minute. I like what you do. It's a great community podcast. It's going to blow up one day soon. I can feel it.
Inshallah.
Keep it up. I love the dedication, the hard work, man. So, but with me, alhamdulillah, everything's good. Just working, staying busy with the family, community.
Yeah.
Trying to do our thing.
Yeah. Shout out to this guy. He's humble because there's a lot going on in his life, and we're going to dive into it. So we don't want to just jump right in. But what I do want to jump right in is more of a sensitive conversation that's been happening in our world, and especially now in this Dearborn community, Dearborn area community. I don't want to just say it's in the Dearborn community. And so, as we all know, there's a lot happening in the country of Syria. And
we'll go right into that. Huh?
Yeah, we're going to just jump right into that one, because then we're going to scale back, because it would fit right in if we just start off with this conversation. And so, there's obviously views from many different angles. And we're not, I don't want to even get into that part of it. I would want to say, what would you have to say to the people out there who, like to share their 2 cents on something that's very sensitive and obviously affects our community? So what would you like to say on that, man?
Yeah, I would say, when the Syrian proxy war was going on 10 years ago, the first thing I said is this is a war that was created to, it's going to divide the ummah. It was one of those wars in the modern day, probably the biggest war in the modern day that divided the ummah, and we're seeing it again now. Not to take away from the Syrian people, not to take away from the oppression they've been through. We stand, as Muslimin, we stand with the oppressed of all over the world, right? But we also have to stand with a specific strategy. And so the misconception is that the Shias, I'm Shia. First and foremost, I'm 100% pro-unity. The scholars I follow only promote unity. Sayyid Ali Sistani, the grandest scholar of Shia Islam, says Sunnis are not only your brothers, they're your nafs. That's how deep it is. Sayyid Ali Khamenei from Iran has similar sayings as well. And so everything in this world, everything for Muslims, we have to be pro-unity, because if we can't unite, we'll never lead the world. We'll never lead the Middle East, and that's what we're seeing. But the conflict in Syria was very confusing for many people, because yes, there was oppression. Yes, Bashar al-Assad was a tyrant. Yes, there was. Now you've seen the prison system, which we see the prison system. Not many of us really knew how crazy it was until this information came out. But we can't also undermine the fact that these prison systems are all over the Middle East, right? There's dictators all over the Middle East that are doing this. I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying this is common within the Arab world, which is wrong. But the Shias sided. Majority of the Shias sided with Bashar al-Assad when the war started. And the stance was not to protect Bashar al-Assad. The stance was not to uplift and glorify Bashar al-Assad. The stance was not to make this a sectarian war, Shia versus Sunni, absolutely not. The stance was as simple as an anti-imperialist stance. Because we know, yes, Bashar is not the best. But guys, if Bashar falls right now, in this time, when all the work over the last 45 years is trying to liberate Palestine, the other side that's coming in, who's trying to hijack and did end up hijacking for the most part the revolution, the ones who are arming, who's taking care of the opposition, are going to control the country, and Syria is going to be fragmented. It's going to be controlled by multiple nations. Now you're seeing Turkey, America, Israel just occupied more of the Golan Heights. First time they entered since 1973. They've dropped over 500 bombs all over. This is what leaders of the resistance were talking about. Like, guys, if this falls now, it's the wrong time. And many leaders of the resistance, prior to 2013, prior to the Axis of Resistance entering, because the war started in 2011, 2013 is when the AOR entered, AOR, Axis of Resistance, did speak about this. They said, hey, Bashar needs to, the Syrian government and the opposition need to come to terms and find a middle point and compromise. We support reform in the country. The revolution right now, I remember there was a message I watched like, hey, the Syrians need to be careful because if you guys are getting arms from foreign nations, they're going to hijack it and they're going to try to destroy and take over Syria. And now we'll see within the next couple of months. I mean, we've seen it hours after the liberation. I mean, I feel for the Syrians. Nobody deserves to be oppressed. You can't stand for one oppressed on this side and ignore the others. Trust me, we get it. But we also understand what's to come to the region is going to be far more dangerous. It's going to be far more dangerous. We pray to God it's not. We pray there's some sense of unity. We pray, but at the end of the day, you need to study history and see what the West have done to our region. Prior to Syria even being a country, and Lebanon and Palestine and Jordan, the Ottoman Empire conquered the Middle East for 500 years. And as soon as that collapsed, you had the Sykes-Picot Agreement with the French and the Brits. And they divide and conquer. You're Syrian, you're Palestinian, Lebanese. No, man, we're all Belad Hashem, we're all Arab. My last name is Chami. I'm Lebanese, but where does my last name come from? And then the Sykes-Picot happened. And then the Zionist movement started coming in for 20 years. Before 1948, you've seen the Zionist movement in Israel because of Theodor Herzl in the late 1890s pitched this idea to the Brits, and Rothschild agreed to it. 1948, the Brits back off. America comes in, supports Zionist nation, and Israel's established. We've never had our own countries. We've never had true freedom and liberation. We've always had tyrants. And as long as the state of Israel, the illegal terrorist state of Israel, is in the Middle East, there will always be infiltrators all over the Middle East who work for them. I call them Arab Zionists. I call them self-hating Muslims, self-hating Arab. From the Gulf to Saudi to Egypt to Jordan, all over. You even have Zionist Arabs in Lebanon. We know of this. We know of this. And as long as this cancerous entity is in the Middle East, we will forever be at war. And so the AOR, people don't understand, is trying to eliminate that and then reform the nations. But we've never truly had our own freedom, And that's it. But, with the Syrian thing coming, we pray for the best. We pray for peace. We pray for unity. We pray that we can liberate everybody, but we can't forget about Palestine. Can't forget about Palestine.
I love that. And it's important that we address that because that is something that's been a topic of conversation lately in our area, in our neighborhood. And so I wanted to start off with that because obviously that's not the main topic for today, but
it's not, but I think it's just important for other people to understand the perspective. It's not Shia Sunni.
Yeah.
It's not, we got to get rid of that rhetoric. Dude, it's not Shia Sunni war. It should never be. Yeah. It can't be, and I think that's the rhetoric. Oh, the Shias want this, the Sunnis. No, we just want freedom and peace for all Muslimin and all Arab in the region. And there has to be a strategic approach to that.
There you go, man. So now we can go back to because that's the current events. It's important to have that conversation. Like I said, it's a hot topic. So today, like I said, we're talking about leadership. We're talking about business. We're talking about personal strength, about the modern man. Let's start off with you. The only boy in your family.
Yeah.
Now a father of 3.
Alhamdulillah.
How did all of that shape you into the man that you are today, man?
Yeah, when I look back as a young boy, I was always very observant, somebody who always reflected, and I didn't know I was like that. I was just riding the wave of life. But as I matured and I got older, I realized I was always one to reflect. And at a young age, I remember all my cousins had brothers, and I was the only one that didn't. So it affected me in a positive way, where I always wanted a brother, but I always understood this is a responsibility I have. I am the man who's going to take care of my mother and my father and my sisters if it's ever needed. Inshallah, it'll never be needed. But that's the responsibility God put on me, and that's fine because God does not put a burden on a soul that can't bear, right?
Yeah.
And I always seen my cousins have their brothers, and I was not envious of that, but I always wanted a brother, you know? But that's what led me to become a strong, resilient man, to understand my role as a man, and it also led me to spiritual warrior, which we'll talk a little later about creating brotherhood, understanding fatherhood, and what a real man through the divine, through the teachings of Islam is. Not this right wing red pill movement of being a man who's talking about women and cars and wealth. That's not what being a man is.
Yeah, great points, man. And so, you're going off of that, and I feel like you talked a little bit about being a leader because of being that man in your family. So, what does that true leadership mean to you, and how has that the understanding of leadership evolved from when you were younger to when you were, a teenager to now where you're at right now? So, how did that evolve?
Yeah, so leadership first and foremost comes with a sense of confidence. I always had confidence growing up, and I always felt like I was a leader. And again, when you're growing up, you're just riding the wave, you're going through it. But what's key is reflection, and to learn off your mistakes and to learn these lessons. And leadership to me is also active service, right? You're leading in the front. You're leading by example. You're doing what you preach. It's not just like pointing fingers and saying here's how we're gonna get things done. You understand how to delegate, but you lead by example. And leadership is key because if you really look into our deen, our religion, Islam is a religion that creates leaders. It's not a religion that creates servant to God, of course, but leaders in the community. And leadership comes with discipline. It comes with hard work. It comes with good intentions, no self-serving agenda. It comes with serving others. So everything about our religion and how we live our lives and what God asks us to do is to create great leaders, And, everyone should be a leader. Nobody should be a follower. And you lead in your own way. Everyone has different skill sets and unique talents. You need to understand this. You need to reflect on what are my skills? What are my talents? How can I use these to impact my community, my society? How can I do this to become a better person, to become a better family man? I think first and foremost, there's a saying. It's so simple. We've all heard it. Be the change you want to see in the world, right? It's that simple. Because if it all starts within, if you change yourself and work on yourself to become a great person and a great leader, you're going to affect your family. And from your family, the family affects multiple families becoming great, affects the community. And the community affects society. It all starts within. It all starts in the home. And so it's very important to lead with your family first. You got to lead yourself. Before you lead others, you got to lead yourself. If you don't have your life in order, you can't have your business in order. If you're not disciplined, you can't discipline others. It all comes from within. Lead yourself, be strict, be disciplined, be motivated, find your purpose, find stuff that ignites your passion and keep pushing forward.
Do you feel like our community lacks true leaders?
The community doesn't lack true leaders, no. But the community doesn't have the right leaders in the forefront. And this might offend a lot of people, and it is what it is. I mean, this is who I am. I speak the truth, and I respect everybody. But what it is that our community, the people of the community, like to promote the wrong people for the wrong reasons, Whether it's sharing some people's social media videos that expose others, that create slander and lies, and it goes into group chats, and people are forwarding them and making everything. This is all nonsense. It starts with the community. You can't expect a great leader to lead the community if the community doesn't want it. So do we have great leaders who are leading the community? Absolutely. We have amazing leaders in the community who are in the forefront. But there are also people who are up in the forefront that I don't believe deserve to be in the forefront. And it's not the great leaders' fault. It's the community's fault, because we're pushing the wrong people. We like the wrong things. We love the backbiting, the gossiping. We like self-serving agendas. We want to see how can we get hooked up. That's not the case. A leader is somebody who serves the entire community before he serves himself. So are there great leaders? Absolutely. Is our youth, is our generation, are the younger generation creating even better leaders? Yes, but it all depends on the community, because just like, for instance, voting, right? It's who we vote for that becomes president. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
If it's a real democracy.
Yeah. What do you think is the solution to that then? What's your solution to that issue? And do you see change happening, by the way, too?
Yeah, I do see change happening. I feel like a lot of the younger generation, look, the older generation did an amazing job at what they've given us, right? They worked hard. They're immigrants from other countries. They came in survival mode. They had to work their behinds off to give us what we have. You know, we in a way we got life on a silver platter, but it's up to us to take that to the next level. And I think many of us in our generation are doing that. You know, we're hard workers. We love to give back, and I feel like a lot of people in our generation we're not egotistic. Like we don't care too much about the title and the ego. It's like, what can we all do together? How do we better our community? How do I uplift my boys? You know, if I'm successful, how are my boys gonna be successful with us? It's not me versus you. You know, part of the Ramadan Suhoor Festival, which you also said we'll touch up on, was a mentorship program of shifting the mindset of the young entrepreneurs of business. You know, we should not be a community of competition.
Yeah.
We're a community of support, right? So what's the solution? The solution is basically fixing yourself, you know, doing for others what you want for yourself. That's exactly what Prophet Muhammad says.
Yeah.
Right? Doing for others what you want for yourself. Fix yourself, work with pure intentions, work hard, and understanding that what's meant for you in this life is coming no matter what. Nobody's going to take it away from you. It's your good deeds and bad deeds that affect that. Somebody else is not going to come into your life, and God's going to give your rizq to someone else, right? So stop focusing on others. Focus on yourself, work hard. Yes, competition is good. Ethical competition is good, right? It keeps you on your toes, keeps you creative, but focus on you. You know, you should only be competing with the person in the mirror, not the person to the right or left of you, because you need to be the best version of yourself at all times.
This man is rolling right now, Yusuf, man. We're going to have to slow him down a little bit and give him a quick ad break. We're going to take a quick break right quick and give a shout out to Hanley International Academy. And then we're going to keep it rolling. We're talking about leadership. So now we're going to move the discussion more towards business and also personal strength. So shout out to Hanley International Academy, and we're going to keep it rolling, man. Let's be honest. If you're looking for the place that has the best K-8 school for your child, then the choice should be easy, and that's Hanley International Academy. Hanley International Academy is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. The academics there are great. The athletics there are great. Thank you to the staff and administrators at Hanley for educating our leaders of tomorrow. To learn more about Hanley, you can visit their website at hanleyacademy.com or call them at 313-875-8888. I was just talking to Brother Haas here, man. You know, just talking about how he probably needs to do his own media right here, man. Natural speaker, mashallah. I know you do your videos and you do all that other stuff, but, you know, we can continue from the conversation we left off. You know, you ever thought about doing your own thing with media and stuff like that, or no?
You know, I think the reason why I've become good at it is because I never had the intention of doing it, right? It's a way of just giving back.
Yeah.
You know, this is like right now you see me on TMJ News. That's just, you know, TMJ News, great media outlet, local from Dearborn. They asked me to help them out and be the guest host for their show, and I'm doing it. You know, it's just a way to give back, to spread the truth. And then, you know, a podcast like this, you know, you're doing a great job for the community. And if I can offer any valuable information, I'll come out here and do it. And I believe because there's no intention of me doing my own thing, it's working out, and we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day it goes into something bigger, but that's not really the goal, you know?
Well, your hands are already tied with a bunch of stuff, right? MashaAllah, Allahumma barak, man. This guy right here, first of all, he's a pharmacist, for those that didn't know that. But he's also an entrepreneur. Many things that he runs or owns. So how do you define success in business, and what metrics do you use to measure success?
Yeah, success, first and foremost, it's not about money, all right? Success is about reaching your goals, all right? So you got to set. So first, when you get into a business, you have to be a visionary. All right, it's not short term, it's long term. You got to set short term and long term goals. And the success is, number one, did you reach your goals? Number two, if you didn't, did you learn your lesson? Because in my life, there's no losses, there's only lessons. Every setback is a point of reflection to understand, you know, why did this happen? What did I do wrong? How can I do better? The only time you should ever be upset with yourself if you fail is if you didn't give it your all. And me, if you know me, if you ask about me, I go 150% in everything I do. I don't slow down. If I commit to something, I'm fully committed. I go 150%. So if something doesn't turn out the way I want it, you know, there's a lesson in that. And I understand that maybe it wasn't meant to be, because what's meant to be is meant to be. It's coming. What's written for you is coming no matter what. Your money, your children, your health, God has written that for us, right? So all God asks us to do is be good people, work hard, work with good intentions. So success to me is, did you reach your goals? Did you learn? And are you expanding? And at the end of the day, you know, are you servicing others, right? Like, as an entrepreneur, you said, you're like, I have many things going on. People don't realize as an entrepreneur, it's an act of service, right? It's not just opening a business and making money. It's an act of service. How? It's an act of service for your employees. You're a mentor. You should be a person who, and not everybody takes that. Not all employees take that. Some employees want to clock in and clock out. Those employees, I tell them, don't come work for me. It's funny. My job interviews now, especially with the youth, when they come in, I don't interview them. I tell them, I give them an example. I give them a talk about self-growth and self-development and how they should use every job for that, to learn, to increase their social skills, work on things they're not good at, learn from others, ask questions, be the best version of themselves. And I tell them, listen, there's two Hassans you could work for. If you're going to come in, clock out just for a paycheck, you're going to work for a guy that you hate. But if you're going to come in and you're working on self-growth and self-development, you're going to work hard and you want to be better, you're going to ask questions, you're going to have a brother and a mentor for life, right? So part of entrepreneurship is an active service. You're active service for your employees, active service for your customers, right? You're there to make them happy, to make sure you fulfill their needs, to exceed their expectations. And most importantly, an active service for your community, right? As entrepreneurs, we have to give back to our community. So regardless of what business you have, some businesses don't directly impact the community, but what skills have you learned through this job that you can go back and give back to the community, right? So Ramadan Suhoor Festival. Over the years, I realized I'm great at multitasking and I'm a great project manager. I can handle many things at once. That allowed me to use those skills on Ramadan Suhoor Festival, which turned into a charity that I gave back to the community, right? So I'm a pharmacist.
By the way, you want to talk about scholarships, you know what I mean?
Like the Ramadan Suhoor Festival, it was a charity. We gave over 30 scholarships. The first year we gave 12, or the first year we gave scholarships, we gave 12. The year after, Lawrence Tech University got in contact with us. We said, we see what you're doing. We're going to give you 18 scholarships. That's over 30. That's 30 right there. We sent dozens of people to Umrah, to Ziyarah, to Hajj. What it was people started to believe in this idea because there was so much positivity behind what we were doing that community members would just call us and be like, hey, here's $5,000, here's $4,000. I want to send someone to Ziyarah. I want to send someone to Umrah. I want to send somebody to Hajj. And that's part of what we've done to give back to the community, right? So as an entrepreneur, I've learned those skills, I've refined those skills, and I applied it back to giving back. So the Ramadan Suhoor Festival for me was my community service back, right? But success is, what have you learned? Have you become a better person? Are you exceeding? And then, yeah, of course, we all want to make money. We want to make money for the right reasons. We want to take care of our families. We want to take care of our community. Inshallah, we want to put our kids through Islamic schools. We want to raise great children. But if you're chasing money for dunya, meaning the best cars, the best clothes, it's nothing. Imam Ali has a beautiful saying. Imam Ali has a beautiful saying about dunya, saying, not being attached to the dunya doesn't mean that you own nothing. It means nothing owns you. So yeah, if you got money, buy whatever you want. But if you lose that, it should never affect you because you're far past that.
Yeah. Great points, man. And I'm going back to, because I kind of want to mention also the canteen. I was talking to my wife. No, this is such a smart place. We us around here, we love food. We love food. We like coffee. We like just going out to eat. And so you put it all in one. And I mean, it's a quick little plug, I guess, for this upcoming Ramadan. You were saying that it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to be doing the Ramadan Suhoor Fest. It's going to be, you want to tell us a little bit about what people should expect there at the canteen? Yeah,
so the canteen is it's the first food hall and food truck park in the city of Dearborn. So what there was is the experience of the Suhoor Festival. We built a great network, and what we did was made it a full-time thing. So you come in, especially us with children, nobody, everyone's arguing where they want to eat. You just come to the canteen. There's something for everybody, right? Yeah. You walk in, and now throughout the winter, we have a QR code on every table. You scan the QR code. You can order from as many vendors as you want. You pay one time at the end, and we bring it right to your table. So there's no longer waiting outside. So now what we're doing, last year, I canceled the Ramadan Suhoor Festival because of the war in Palestine, right? It just wasn't right. It's too big. Like people said, well, you're donating the money. Why don't you just donate to Gaza? I said the festivity and the joy of the festival does not justify the charity. The charity, everyone's doing charity right now. Everyone's raising money. This year, what we're going to do is, because we have the canteen open and people are going to come regardless to this first Suhoor, what we're going to do is we're going to open up to more vendors. We're going to have a tent in the patio. We're going to have the indoor dining, and we're going to have like a 20,000 square foot tent in the back of the parking lot. We're going to close off the parking lot. Parking will be elsewhere. And we're going to call it the Ramadan Village. So it'll be a little compartmentalized. We're going to come up with maybe cool names of different areas. And the Ramadan Village in itself, the name tones down the festivity in itself. We're getting rid of the stage, the live performance of the nasheeds and the beautiful songs of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, we're getting rid of all of that. We just want to tone down the festivities. You can have suhoor, see family and friends. We'll still donate, and then we'll call it a day. So it'll be called the Ramadan Village.
Looking forward to the Ramadan Village. It's upcoming Ramadan, inshallah. I know you said you don't believe in failures or setbacks.
Yeah.
So, what lessons have you learned just in general from moments where maybe something happened that you maybe didn't expect to happen? Let's say that.
Let's just say when you're getting into, I don't want to say a business, but when you have a specific idea in your head, sometimes the end goal especially when you're young, is not what you originally thought it was going to be, right? Throughout the journey, there's so many things that happen. And as long as you're observant and you reflect on what's going on, you refine your entire project into something bigger and better. To give you an example, I have a cousin who was opening up a tech company. He had this grand idea. And I said, hey, this is beautiful. He was young. I said, but I promise you when you're done, it's going to be completely different, or at least 50% different of what you thought. And throughout the years of building out this tech company, he met so many different people. He networked. He went through this entire journey, and he refined the entire thing into similar to what he wanted, but something that fulfills a bigger goal, right? And when you're opening up a business or when you're failing, you got to understand that you're learning lessons, like I said earlier. It's all about lessons, and you're refining. There's a quote by Alexis Carrel. It's my favorite quote. It says, "Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculpture." So I'm not sure if you've ever seen this photo of this like Greek god-looking statue who's sculpting himself.
Yeah.
Right. We refine ourselves.
Yeah.
When somebody goes to the gym and works out, the weight is uncomfortable, but it's necessary for the muscles to grow. It's the same thing with the mind. In order to fortify the mind and to become strong, you need to go through setbacks. You need to go through failures. But failure is not the opposite to success. Failure is part of the journey. Every single billionaire you see went broke many times. Michael Jordan failed over and over and over. Kobe Bryant failed over and over and over. It's the failure that made him so great. So when I say there's no failures in life, it's all lessons. It's all part of the journey, and you got to appreciate the journey. There's beauty in every single struggle. And as long as you have that mindset, you'll be happy. And look, with Muslims, I feel like we have a little cheat code, like a little buffer zone that's like makes us comfortable. We believe that our rizq is written for us. It's destined for us. Yes, there are some things that can change it, but it's written for us. So if you have this conviction inside and you truly have this belief, this taqwa, right? You shouldn't be upset with what doesn't go your way, because we plan and God plans, and God is the best of planners. What's meant to be is coming. So as Muslims, when we have this mindset, as long as we work hard and we go forward and we be the best version of ourselves, you should always be content. And if you're not content, you got to do some self-reflection. You got to think, why aren't I happy? What am I doing that's wrong? Where's my vision? Where am I focused? Am I focused on the wrong things? Do I want the wrong things? Because that's where depression comes from. So ultimately it all goes back to our deen and what God has taught us.
Can you give this man a round of applause? Yusuf right here, man. It's no preparation. All right, no preparation, just straight facts right here. And I guess to close out the business entrepreneur aspect of it is, I know you just gave some great advice, but any other advice, what advice would you give maybe to aspiring leaders or entrepreneurs looking to make a mark in the business world? What would you tell them?
Look, find great mentors. That's key. You need a mentor, because the reason why I love to give back is I don't want people to make the mistakes I made, right? I have my Uncle Ali, who was a great mentor in my life, right? But like I said, I never had that older brother. He was like my older brother, but I didn't have that brother. So there's a lot of things that I had to learn on my own. I threw myself in the fire. If you can prevent yourself from just throwing yourself in the fire, taking advice from great mentors, maybe doing an internship, working with them, working under their businesses and trying to absorb as much as possible, this will prevent you from making unnecessary mistakes. Yes, you have to make mistakes in life to learn, but there are unnecessary mistakes that can take you, maybe something that took me 3 years will take you 1 year. So number one, get a great mentor. Number two, self-discipline. Like I said earlier, if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. If your life ain't in order, your business is not going to be in order. You got to be disciplined. Sleep early, wake up early. Go to the gym. The gym is not all about looking big and being strong. No, the gym is itself discipline. God gave us this vessel, this body. Take care of it. It's a great investment for your future, for your health, for your children. Not only that, like my children, they see me waking up in the morning, early in the morning after a long day of work. I go to the gym, I come back, I have my shake. To them, they see Bubba as disciplined. This also, like the children are observing this stuff, right? You also want to be fit for your kids. You want to be healthy for your kids. You want to be around for your kids, right? So be disciplined, sleep early, wake up early. And if there's one thing I wish I would have done sooner, I don't regret anything in life, but if there's one thing I wish I would have picked up a habit sooner, is reading. I started reading at like 26, 27. I wish I would have read earlier. I read a stat once that said if you're an avid reader, if you read 30 minutes a day, within 10 years you would have read 500 books. So imagine a 12-year-old that starts reading. At 22, he has 500 books he's completed. He'll run laps around anybody around him, right? Because this world is creating a bunch of weaklings. Imagine a kid, 22 years old, has read 500 books. His sense of adaptability, his IQ, his intelligence, how he comprehends, all of that becomes on the next level. He pushed himself 10 years. So reading is another thing. And look, embrace habits that challenge yourself, that challenge you. Life is supposed to be challenging. Anything that's too easy, don't do it. Always set a goal as challenging. And that's my goal. That's my advice.
Love that, man. I love that, and I appreciate you for coming here and sharing this knowledge right quick. Yusuf, we're going to run our last ad of today and let this guy take a break because I know, you got to have to take a sip of that coffee, man. I know my man is spitting right now. Facts, though. That's the important thing. It's all facts. So we appreciate him. So let's go ahead and give a shout-out to our great friends over there at Royal Kebab, and then we're going to keep it rolling. So shout-out to Royal Kebab. Guess who's back? Back again. Royal Kebab is back. Tell a friend. Yes, that is right. The restaurant that you all have been dying for to open back up is officially back operating in Hamtramck. Royal Kebab offers the same mouth-watering Middle Eastern dishes as their sister company, Meleket Kebab. You can order their lamb over rice, combo platters, shish platters, shawarma sandwiches or plates, fattoush and tabbouleh salads, all at the newly renovated Royal Kebab restaurant located on Kniff Street in Hamtramck, Michigan. So be sure to check out their website, royalkebab.com, before you make your next order and see why so many people have been raving about this restaurant. So going off this conversation, first of all, by the way, this whole topic came to me from my sister. You know, she's a teacher, and she's not liking what she's seeing from a lot of the boys lately. And just in general, the men that she sees maybe on social media. She's like, Ahmad, we need to do a podcast show about men need to become men again.
So we're shifting the conversation to become a real man.
Yeah. And so you hold a spiritual masculinity camp, every year that you co-founded. I guess, really, maybe including what I was just kind of leading to this. So like, what do you feel like is the current state of men now in our communities? First of all, tell us a little bit about that camp and then the current state of the men in our community.
Spiritual Warrior Camp. I co-founded it with Sayyid Hassan Chami. He's born and raised in London. His housa is based out of Lebanon. Been in Lebanon for 12 years, but during the war he left. Spiritual Warrior Camp is a camp that takes young Muslim guys. We had a retreat in Wales, right on the border of Wales and England. Back in August, it was our first camp. We had 75 guys. Average age was about 30. So, it's not for like little kids, not for teenagers. And it was a camp that taught the archetypes of masculinity through the psychology teachings of Carl Jung. And then we infused that with the teachings of Islam, right? Using the prophets, the prophet as an example, Imam Ali alayhi salam as an example. And so what's happening now is a lot of men don't understand, because of this huge push from the progressive left over the last 4 or 5 years, which has drastically slowed down. But we've seen a huge push about targeting the man, the toxic masculinity. And a lot of guys were just confused, like, man, am I too much? Am I not? And so we just went back to the basics of teaching the archetypes of men. And then we tied it with Islam. And then but most importantly, we created a brotherhood. We taught the importance of brotherhood. Every man needs to be part of a brotherhood where you can rely on a support team to uplift you, your boys that are there for you. And then we had courses on fatherhood. Fatherhood is very, very important because, our fathers are amazing men, but they came from struggling times, right? So we need to learn off what did our fathers give us. And that's not a wrong thing, because they gave us to their capacity of what they know. But how do we become better fathers? And how do our sons become better fathers, right? So we focus on the importance of fatherhood, being a great husband, being a great man for the community. Then we had a lot of the videos on Instagram are like training videos. It wasn't a boot camp, but every day we had an hour session, and it was exhausting training that was centered around brotherhood, right? So you carry your brother on your back, and you got to run 200 yards. You cannot drop him. You're holding your brother's feet, and he's bear crawling, and you can't stop. So everything was about not leaving your brother behind, right? While you're pushing yourself to the limit. So this camp is beautiful. We also had a workshop on business, finance, negotiation, and we tied that back to Islam. We had some great Muslim brothers from Dubai that flew in, gave these lectures, and they tied it back to, one was in the hedge fund world, one's an attorney, and they tied it back to Islam as well. So it was an amazing, amazing camp. Inshallah, we plan to do about 2 or 3 a year around the world.
Nice, man.
Yeah, we had people come from Canada, Australia, Germany, Netherlands, Lebanon, Pakistan, America. Like, it was unbelievable.
So from that, overall, though, men in our community, do you
It's
think...
not just our community.
in the world, how about that? Yeah, I'm trying to focus and narrow it down. But in the world today, do you feel like we lack that, hey, and again, it's not being to the point where like you're being so...
It's not about me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But more so just like kind of taking care of our roles as men and doing our duties that is expected from us Islamically and just from, culturally and what's expected from society-wise? Do you feel like it's not where it used to be?
So look, there's a lot of women that come up to my wife, they come up to my mother, they come up to me and say like, they want to get married, and there's no men out there. We have these conversations, even at the canteen. We have these conversations all the time. Well, my boy's wife has 3 sisters, and we talk, and they just say, look, the guys I talk to are just not men. Like, I feel like I'm wearing the pants, they're too soft. This is a common thing we hear, and it's a part of the culture now. It's what in social media sort of created, and it's emasculated the man. At the end of the day, we know our roles as a Muslim man, what you're supposed to do in Islam, right? We know what it is. Our role is we're responsible for our families. Yeah. Whatever it is, we carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders for our families, and we need to embrace that. This idea, it's okay to be vulnerable, right? But you need to know when to let out your emotions. There's certain times you're going through struggle, so be it. That's part of the journey. Understand that. You're going through tough times, so be it. You're part. A woman, especially a wife, they say is a reflection of her man. There's a lot of like marriage issues right now, but listen, if you're not, don't point your fingers at your wife. And listen, I understand some women out there aren't the best women, but as a man, do not point your fingers at your wife if your fingers are dirty. Make sure you are the best husband, the best father, and then you can complain, right? And so what we're seeing today is due to social media and due to pop culture and all this stuff is that men are too feminine. Yeah. They're soft. They don't understand struggle. They want things the easy way. They want to make money the easy way. Social media has made it so easy to make money. There's no sense of hard work and work ethic. So yeah, it's definitely a problem. And then that's why the red pill movement, like the Andrew Tates and the sneakers of the world, became so popular, because what they were doing, they began to counter the far left. So this massive Western feminist push, right? Now, we're not against women. Islam in a way can be talked about as a feminist religion. I mean, Prophet Muhammad, Islam gave women the rights to inheritance, the rights to vote, like to be out there. Like, Islam didn't shout to the lady, right? So there's so much rules for the woman. Like, Islam actually raises the woman on a pedestal, if you really think about it. But a lot of even our women are going towards this feminist, this massive Western feminist push that is actually against our cultures and against our religion. And this has affected the men as well. But I think it's a two-way thing. I think the men are soft, the women bounce too far to the left, the men are going too far to the right. Everything in life is to be in the middle. Just balance out, go back to the basics, go back to what Islam taught us. And look, there's a lot of books out there that are amazing. There's a book called Warrior, Magician, Lover, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's a great book. It just talks about the archetype of men. It labels personality traits and characteristics. It labels the positive ones and the negative ones. We teach this book at the camp. This just helps somebody understand who they are. There's a lack of identity in men, and so that's what's going on right now.
And that kind of goes well to my next question. Is like, do you feel like the roles are being reversed? But I guess you already kind of answered that. But do you think that's a good or bad thing for society?
Roles being reversed?
Yeah.
Horrible. But now you're even seeing women who so far left are coming back saying, no, you know what? I want to be a housewife. Yeah. Or this new trad wife trend that you see. At the end of the day, everything natural comes back. You want to fight it, and then it comes back. Look, there's nothing wrong with a woman being educated. There's nothing wrong with a woman having a great title and a job. There's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, the greatest role for a woman is a mother and a wife. The mother is the backbone of her home, which becomes the backbone of society. It's the mother that's raising the children with principles and values. When the father's out working, the mother is instilling this in her children, the morale, the moral compass, everything. So there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us are, and I understand we live in times now that, you need two incomes to survive, right?
I'm happy that you said that, because, there's a lot of people that want that life, but they understand
100%,
it. Yeah,
we need to understand this, right? We live in a time where, and it's done on purpose. There's two incomes to survive, right? And so your kids got to go to daycare and whatnot. But we still have to do as much as possible to raise our children ourselves, and not the daycare centers. Not other people that they're dealing with that are strangers, right? And so roles being reversed. It's part of this new Western culture. But inshallah, I think is going to come back to normal, because it's very difficult to work and be a mother. As a father, I cannot deal with what my wife deals with. I don't have the patience and the tolerance that my wife has for children. Yeah. She's working she's in the kitchen all day. She's raising them. She's wiping their butts all day. She's showering them. She's taking care of them. Like, I come home for 2 hours. I play with them. I love them to death. I'm having so much fun. And I'm just like, man, I'm exhausted. She goes, yeah, imagine doing it. So like, not to take away from the women are strong, you know? And I think if women really understood and embraced their femininity, they'll realize, no, like some parts, like some, like the guy says women are too emotional. Well, it's the emotions of a woman that make her such an amazing mother. Yeah. Such an amazing wife. You know, there's positive traits with that. So I think we need to stop fighting each other's genders, embrace our gender, and embrace our roles in society, and just move forward. It's not that difficult.
You know, I was worried with these questions, one of us might get canceled, but I think you answered that very well. So we're not gonna be getting canceled no more. All right. All right. So with that said, you know, this might be a little tough because I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this one, but 3 to 5 tips right now, because I think this could be a great clip. You know what I'm saying? Bang, bang, bang. Give us 3 to 5 tips for the men out there that are watching. What would you tell them to be? I mean, I put manly, but, you know.
Man up.
Man up. You know, to man up.
I got the sign in my office, man
up. That's funny. So give us 3 to 5 tips. Bang.
Self-discipline. Self-discipline, that's number 1. No, number 1 is get close to God. That's the most important relationship in life. Get close to God. I'm not just saying praying and fasting. I actually mean get close to God. We all have work to do, including myself. Yep. Number 2, self-discipline. Discipline yourself. Take accountability. Understand, you know, what your role is. You know, stop complaining. You know, figure out what you got to do and do it. And if you don't know what, and if you're failing, look at your habits. Look at your daily schedules. Figure that out. And number 3, man, appreciate the moment. Live through the moment. Appreciate the blessings God has given us. You know, even with every downfall, there's still a blessing with it, right? Appreciate the beauty around you, your family, your friends, this life. I mean, look at what's going on in Palestine, Syria, Yemen. We're not dealing with that. You know, we're posting on social media, but we go home to a warm, comfortable house. Our wife has food on the table. Our mother makes us food. What are we complaining about? So get close to God, self-discipline, and live in the moment and appreciate what God has given us. It's very simple.
Go ahead and give this man, Hassan Chami, a round of applause, man. I am sure that this is exactly what we envisioned when it came down to having this kind of conversation. We really did want to have a talk where we can, you know, just address some of the stuff that's kind of been happening in our life, in our society today, and in the world, to be honest with you. Like we said earlier.
These conversations aren't too complicated, man.
Yeah.
People are taking it too far. Let's go back to the basics.
You know, I think we complicate things way more than we need to be as a society in general, in every single aspect. So it's just one of those things where, you know, sometimes that's why having a conversation, that's where it starts. You know, it's a good beginning point for any kind of solution that you want to find and have. So first of all, I'm going to repeat this again. First of all, shout out to Big Haas over here, man. We appreciate him for coming on the show. You know, you can follow us and listen to this show on our Apple and Spotify podcast. We're also on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all under Oz Media, even Apple and Spotify podcast under Oz Media. And you can find all those platforms on our website at ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors, Hanley, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Juice Box, Maliki Kebab, Jebed Coffee House, and Royal Kebab. We appreciate them and their support. Like I say, there's no Oz Media without these businesses. So the way you can, you know, if you want to show support to us, so show support to these businesses as well. Any final words, final comments? This is the way we like to end the show, with you just giving us any final things you want to say.
To the beautiful Dearborn community, the greater Muslim community, Metro Detroit, unity is key. Stick together. We don't have to agree on everything, but if we disagree, that doesn't mean that we go at each other's throats. You know, there's different. I see things differently than you, and that's fine as long as we approach everything with respect and the purest of intention. So unity is key, especially right now with what's going on in the world. I mean, united we stand, divided we fall, and we're definitely going to fall if we keep on this track that we're going right now.
And that's the only way we can do is by moving forward, is through unity. So I'm happy that you close that out with that message right there. I agree with that 100%. You know, we had the Mayor Abdullah Hamoud saying the same thing. You know, there's a trend that we're trying to do. We're trying to bring leaders of this community inside of this show because of what's going on outside of this environment that we're living in right now. So it's important for us to stick together, especially more than anything now, more than ever, with all the stuff that's happening back home in our home country. So let's stick together. I don't know if you just want to say something. You just, it looked like you got comfortable. Okay. All right. Well, with that said, man, shout out to little bro Yusuf, man, little big bro Yusuf. Appreciate him in the back on the ones and twos as always. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you all for watching and tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what your thoughts are. Comment, like, subscribe, of course, and we will maybe do a part 2 to this as well if this is something that you want to hear more about. We appreciate you all of you. This was season 4, episode 15 of Motivate Me 313's podcast. We'll see you all next time.